New York Giants fans, I know I've been away for a little bit, dealing with some health issues, and hopefully everybody has been able to avoid, the flu or the cold or whatever when this weather is just changing back and forth and back and forth. But I feel like the weather is indicative of how a lot of Giants fans and content creators in this space feel about what this team needs to be successful. One minute they need to get the quarterback right. The next minute they need to address the offensive line still. The next minute they need to strengthen the defensive line. They need to improve the defensive backfield. Now, while all of those things might be true, you can only focus on one at a time. So I think it's interesting that right now we hear a lot of people talking about the offensive line. It's very interesting. I wanted to talk about it. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I'm Coach Gene Clemons. New York Giants on that side. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information from. Make sure you go over there, check out everything that we're doing as we get into the off season. You'll start seeing them talk about free agency. We'll start talking about the draft. We'll start talking about moves that need to be made. We'll start reviewing and looking at the play of players that may or may not be on this team next year. We'll do all of that right there, so you won't want to miss it. And you obviously want to hit the subscribe button to the New York Giants on SI YouTube channel to make sure that you're plugged in as I get it rolling with all of this stuff that we're doing over here in the offseason. I promise you, you will not want to miss it. You will not want to miss it. So it seems as if guard has been the soup du jour as of late, right? I've been seeing a lot of media members, content creators posting about the Chiefs' right guard, Trey Smith, and how he is priority number one in free agency for the New York Giants. And I think Trey Smith is a fantastic guard. So let's just start there. It would be a great addition. It'd be a great pickup, right? Fantastic guard. Plug him in on the right side, Van Roten, whatever you're doing with him, cool, right? My only problem is that why would that be priority number one when your offensive line was not the problem last year? Your offensive line getting injured at the tackle spot was one of the problems last year, but the offensive line overall was not the problem last year. You brought in 3 free agents last year that 2 of them are under contract for multiple years. The third one, Van Roten, if he's not under contract, I don't know off the top of my head, but if he's not, he ain't gonna cost a whole lot of money to get back because he didn't cost a whole lot of money to pick up on the back end, right? So to me, it goes, well, like, why is guard the place where you think, oh, it absolutely needs to happen when a tackle went down and the team seemingly had no answer for how to replace that tackle. So they went and went to Costco's and picked up an offensive tackle off the line and plugged him in to start. Like, see, that type of stuff never makes any sense to me. So I figured, why don't I put together like what it should look like? And for all intents and purposes, for you guys that don't know, I've been talking about this stuff for a very long time now. And Evan Neal is always at the center of it. You've heard me defend Evan Neal a lot. You've heard me say that I believe Evan Neal is not as bad of a right tackle as many of you or other members of the media believe him to be, right? I've backed that up with video. Just go to the New York Giants on SI, search I will show you video. It'll show you video of it. If you go to my X at Gene Clemons, you can search. I'll show you the video on it. Evan Neal, not as bad as a right tackle as people would have you believe. Down the stretch, when they were forced, well, I wouldn't say forced, but let's just say forced to keep it clean, right? But when they were forced to move Jermaine Illuminor to left tackle, they put Evan Neal back in at right tackle. He did a darn good job. Was he perfect? No. Is he ever going to be perfect? No. Is Jermaine Illuminor perfect? No. Is anybody that you put in that position going to be perfect? No. Right? Lane Johnson, who is probably considered to be the best right tackle in the game. I believe he was first team All-Pro this year. He's not perfect. He gives up sacks. Right? So if Lane Johnson, the best guy in the game, if he can't be perfect, then why would we ever expect for somebody else to be perfect? That seems to be foolhardy for me. Seems to be foolhardy to me. So I look at these things from the standpoint of health. Let's just say that everybody's health is perfect when it's time for us to attack the season in 2025. If I'm the coach or I'm the GM. And now I have Andrew Thomas on the left side and Jermaine Illuminor on the right side. I have my center and I have my guards all in place, right? But I'm saying to myself, okay, maybe Van Roten isn't as good. And so how do I get better at that position? Well, I've got John Runyon, right? And I have John Michael Smith. And I have Van Roten. So for me, it becomes pretty simple. Andrew Thomas is healthy. Runyon is there. I'm moving Evan Neal, who right now is probably the best backup tackle option in all the game. Because what higher upside are you getting in a backup that was a former first-round pick? And not just a former first-round pick, a former high first-round pick. So I'm putting Evan Neal at guard. Now, people always say, well, what do? You put him on the left side, put him on the right side. Well, you put him on the right side because he was at right tackle. No, you put him on the left side because he's really a left tackle, left guard, because the left side is where he plays the best at. You put him next. You put him next to Andrew Thomas. And now you let both of those guys be the most dominant side in the game. You move John Runyon and his flexibility to the right side. You take Van Roten, you re-sign him because he's quality as a number 2 for sure. And you let him and John Michael Smith have a real legitimate fight for the center position because you can't keep allowing John Michael Smith to hurt your offense because he's not able to hold at the point of attack. I hear all of you out there saying that Brasillo has really improved the offensive line. Again, I respectfully disagree and say that you can't give him credit for it because you brought in 3 dudes and plugged them into the offensive line. If he came into the exact same offensive line as last year or the year before that when they were healthy and you saw massive improvements across the line, cool, but you didn't. So I'm not saying he won't be a force magnifier. I'm saying that, or force multiplier, excuse me. I'm saying that you can't give him that credit right now. You got to let him earn it. And I think he will. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in the game, right? So I don't think that's hard. I don't think he looks at that or hears that and goes, ugh. No, he goes, okay, cool. Let's get back to work, right? So you move Neal, Van Roten, and John Michael Smith have to solidify that center position. And the good thing about it is whoever loses, they're just a center guard combo backup, right? Who can jump in and have everything rocking at the center position. You saw this year that Jake Cubis could step in and be a legitimate option as a guard. We still have Joshua Zudu out here masquerading as a tackle when he's really a guard. So bring him back inside and allow him to play the position he's supposed to. When I do all of that, right? When I do all of that, not to mention Austin Schlottman, who is there as a center backup as well. But when I do all of that, that's a lot of depth on the interior, but no depth on the outside. And I could argue only having Evan Neal as a tackle option doesn't really give you tackle depth as well, because you only seem to want to play him on the right side. You don't even want to give him a chance on the left side. So if you're not even going to give him a chance on the left side, you might as well just play him at guard, right? And go about finding options. So now you go out and now a Chris Hubbard, the guy that I've been bagging on. I apologize, Chris Hubbard, but you didn't play well for a lot of that. And a lot of it maybe is not his fault because he was brought off the street and thrown in there. But now you get a full chance to see if Chris Hubbard can be your swing tackle as a backup. You go out and draft another tackle, because you don't really need to draft another guard, even though if you draft another guard, I wouldn't be mad. But you don't need to draft another guard. You've got Runyon under contract. You've got Smiths under contract. You've got Evan Neal under contract. And here's the best part about it. If you go out and get the Chiefs guard, right, he's going to cost you $20+ million a year. And I hear people talking about, oh, yeah, we'll pay that. It doesn't matter. Cool. Y'all have been stingy all the other times, but now you want to break the bank on the guard. But the best part about it is you just pick up Evan Neal's option, or which is going to be less than what that guy would make as a $20+ million a year free agent, or you re-sign Evan Neal to a longer-term deal right now. You don't even wait for and you get him at a lesser cost, because right now he's down bad, right? If he or his agent tried to hold out and say, well, you know what, we'll just take our chances. When he goes into free agency, he's going to go in as a low dollar guy. So now, if you can get him at a $8 million a year, right? At a $10 million a year, as opposed to at a $20 to $25 million a year, you've not only saved money, but you've extended your window with your guard, because he's only 23 years old, right? He's only 23 years old. So having the opportunity to manipulate the roster that you already have, and you guys hear me talk about it all the time, you already have talent on the roster. You got to figure out the best ways to utilize it. If you're asking me, if Evan Neal played in New England back in the Belichick days, he would have already gotten moved to guard 2 years ago. Once they saw him struggling on the right side and they knew they had a left tackle that they weren't going to move from the left tackle, they would have moved him to guard. Right? I know that a lot of people are like, oh, well, he got drafted, so he's a bust because he didn't know. The point is to draft players who help you win football games, right? And he can be a guy who helps you win football games. If the philosophy isn't, we're going to put the ball in Daniel Jones' hands and let him throw the ball all over the place and see if he can be our guy. Because that's what Joe Shane said last year. The logic was flawed because you didn't have the personnel to back up the logic. You went out and got a wide receiver to put into an offense with a quarterback who's never shown complete and total command of said offense. I don't know what to tell you. But now we're sitting here with these decisions, and guard seeming to be one of the decisions in the offseason and free agency that people want the team to attack. I just wonder, it's like, would you rather have, and I'll post this to you guys, and you guys can answer in the comments. You can tweet me at Gene Clemons anywhere. Would you rather, Blue Sky at Gene Clemons, by the way, would you rather have a $25 million free agent guard or Evan Neal at guard with an extended contract for around $8 to $10 million a year? And then now what do you do with that extra $10 to $15 million that you just saved? Now you go and attack the defensive line. Now you go and look and see what you can get as far as pass coverage on the perimeter to go with your young guys that you have to keep on, developing. Now you go and see about, well, if I can turn a $20 million guard, what's a $10 million tackle look like? Right? Or what's a $5 million backup tackle who has starting upside look like? Like, how can I come and bring the depth in to make this offensive line better so that when Andrew Thomas gets hurt, and there's no reason to believe that he will never get hurt again, right? So that when he does get hurt, the entire offensive line doesn't lose its complete and total continuity. Like, there needs to be able to be a plan in place to where if Andrew Thomas gets hurt, they make and they plug a guy in, or they make a series of moves that keeps everything moving the way it's supposed to. Because you've seen it too much now, right? You've seen it enough now over the past 5 years to not recognize that it's going to happen. Andrew Thomas is likely to miss games at some point during the season. It may not be for the entire season, right? It may not be for the duration. It might just be for a game or two or three. But you have to have a plan in place. And putting the plan in place isn't, oh, let's go pick up another high-dollar free agent guard, because now when Andrew Thomas gets hurt at left tackle, you still have the same problem. You still have the same problem. Nothing at guard changed when Andrew Thomas got hurt at left tackle. If you're going to say, hey, this offense didn't seem to miss Saquon Barkley that much, Tyrone Tracy's numbers, very similar to Saquon's numbers his last year in New York. If you're going to say that, it's disingenuous to say that and not mention that the offensive line was significantly better. Right? That the issue with whatever was going on with the team wasn't that the offensive line wasn't producing. It was that the quarterback position wasn't producing. Like, was everything perfect on the offensive line? No. But clearly it was better. Clearly. And so it's not, how do we now again in the second offseason in a row make wholesale sweeping changes? how do we now drop another $20 million into the offensive line? It's how can we make the biggest impact with as minimal of a financial burden as possible. And that is moving Evan Neal to guard. It's the only way. Everything else adds influx. Sorry, it adds more money, or it makes you have to spend more money that can't go other places. Everything else will add turmoil to the offensive line, because if you think Evan Neal is happy being a backup tackle, I got news for you. If you think Evan Neal sees the history of offensive linemen with the New York Giants and how all of them, every single one of them to a T left and was significantly better the moment they left the Giants, you don't think he's looking at that and going, these people are trying to ruin my career? You don't think that's going to permeate throughout the locker room? If you don't pick up his option, now he's gone, right? Now he's gone in free agency. You're not gonna franchise tag. So all of these things says, hey, how can we lower the turmoil, lower the dissension, raise the morale? This is how it's done. Let's sit and Neal down, say, hey, Neal, we want you to go to left guard. You and Thomas are going to form the best blocking duo on the left side in the game. Better than that San Francisco duo on the left side. Extend his contract. Hey, we're not going to pick up your fifth-year option. Instead, we're going to pay you. We want to have you for a 3-year, 4-year extension, $8 to $10 million per. That's another 35. Another 32 to $40 million. On there. Like, make the math make sense. Allow him and his agent to be able to make the decisions. And now if they refuse or if they ain't with it, then you start making other plans. But that plan is still to keep him at guard, right? Keep him at guard and know that next year you're doing something different. But it allows you to then put that money in other places, because the Giants have to win now. And when I say win now, I don't mean win a championship now. They have to be competitive now. Like, there is no, we're going to tank. I know in a lot of you guys' minds, y'all want him to tank and have a chance at a Manning in 2026. But the problem is that this coach and his GM will never be able to, they'll never be able to survive a tank. Not another one, right? They'll never be able to survive a tank. I'm not tanking so that somebody else can take advantage of my losing. No, that's not how this works. I'm going to take advantage. Now, do I need to do stupid stuff like spending $20 million a year, $25 million a year, $30 million a year on a wide receiver and $20 million a year on a guard? Nope. I don't need to do that. But I need to make all the pieces work and then spend the money wisely in younger, up-and-coming talent that can grow with the team, right? Your Bobby Okerekes, young enough to where you can give them good money, right? And allow them to continue their ascent with this team. Places that cap casualties just come into play, right? Cap casualties come into play, and we can't afford to extend them out, so they got to hit the free agency market. Those are the guys that the Giants need to be looking for, right? The market inefficiencies, the Mekhi Bectons that are with the Jets, who, by the way, never played as well as Evan Neal at tackle, who they moved to guard and is now a phenomenal guard. So you see it happening in other places. You know it can be done. They got to start thinking smarter. This isn't a solution that's going to be made by just throwing money at the best player, because you don't need one. You need several. And this is the domino that has to fall sooner rather than later so that everything else can start like finding its way into place. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have today. New York Giants on SI. Make sure you go there for all of your New York Giants news and information. We'll definitely make sure you check it out next week or over the weekend as we start to get into the Shrine Bowl and then the Senior Bowl. I'll have boots on the soil in both places to be able to give you the good word of what's going on. So definitely make sure that you stay tuned, stay locked. Until then, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue.